All right. So, greetings. I am Sophia, and I will be discussing here my translation portfolio. I translated four pieces. One's a song, the other is poetry, and then a short story, and then an essay. First off, we would start with Multo by Cup of Joe. It's a bit challenging for me since I'm not really updated with Philippine pop culture, anything mainstream about the Philippines. And whatever's trending with my generation right now. I even tend to avoid such. So this was a bit challenging for me to translate because of just this overall feeling of modernity. And I noticed that in our generation, there's this casuality in language. So I had to consider the segmenting of the words when it comes to the song because you'd also have to consider how it was spoken, how it was sung. And it was difficult because the segmenting of the artists in the song was a bit awkward, in my opinion. But yeah, if you consider that hindi na makalaya can't ever have my freedom, it's not exactly the same number of syllables for that line, but I opted to make it less awkward when I translated it to English. And then, yeah, the rest of the song was repetitive of the previous lines, previous parts. So, moving on sa My Divisoria, which is a poetry, really short, but I enjoyed translating this one because very meaningful, very deep. And that's where I focused on much more so than the rhymes. For me, it was natural to rhyme, but what I prioritized was getting the message through to the audience. So you can see there that when the author used mga puwersa, I opted to use the term authorities in English, which directly pertains to the government and the police that was pushing away these street vendors sa Divisoria. And there I would highlight the last part, the last lines, which is, Ngayon, ikay iniluklok, bakit wika nila'y wika mo na rin? And I translated that in English this way that I said, why is it that their exact words are now your exact speech? And this is perhaps where I had to consider the rhyming scheme much more so than the former parts of the poetry because this has to leave an impact, syempre, because it's the ending. So I matched speech with the line here, which is the last word is straight. Had to do that, even though it made the last line a bit wordy. But again, I had to leave the impact. So moving on, we have Cuatrociento. So Cuatrociento is a short story about a young man rescuing a girl being pimped out by a 40-year-old woman. And for my method here, of course, I had to read the entire thing in Tagalog first, and then I consulted with other translations because there are phrases and sentences here that you would have choices. And I based my choices of words here, my diction, based on the tone and the personality of the narrator, which is supposed to be just a young man, still a young man. You know, you would eventually read here that he has aged and that he has married baby. But I opted to take the tone of his younger self to really bring the readers back to that place, that moment where everything changed for him. Yeah, so that was my goal here when I was translating this part, this piece. I had to um, share the experience at that moment with the readers. So there we have it. Lastly, this is where I really struggle because of the deep Tagalog words. And I might be bilingual. I'm raised in a bilingual family. However, because I am now majoring in English, my Filipino has depreciated quite significantly. So we have here the original. My method here, I'd say, again, I read the entire thing first, and then I did a lot of research. And then I pondered a lot about the tone, like what kind of voice would I use when I translate this in English, and I really had to think about what it was like to be in the shoes of the narrator here, and we just immerse myself into that provincial attitude, that mindset of um, valuing traditions and close family unit. So there, the tone, the entire tone of this translation is very, you would say bariotic, but we still also, of course, it's a translation. We had to retain the technicalities, such as the grammar. I corrected, improved some grammars here so that it would make much more sense. It'd be more coherent in English because it's just that's your goal when you translate it in English so that English speakers would be able to understand what's happening in the story. And so there are parts here that I really had to change the sentence structure. I had to combine uh, two or three sentences together so that it would be more coherent, be more, it would have a smoother transition from one topic to another. Because that's what I think I would say that this was the most tricky part in translating mga ugat sa panghihilot at pananambal. It's really it strikes home. And you know, as a Filipino myself, I took pride in translating this. So, and I really set my mind to take my time in translating this part. So there, throughout all my translation, um, takes a lot of pondering of the pragmatics. Um, yeah, because all of these are written by Filipino authors, and having these pieces, amazing pieces, shared with another culture, let's say America or England, really gives you a sense of pride as a Filipino when you realize that we are not supposed to be um, we are not supposed to be incompetent when it comes to language. We hold so much power when it comes to literature. So really, really tenders my heart when I translated these four pieces. But perhaps what struck me most and would leave a lasting impact in my journey as an English major is sa may divisoria. Perhaps also because I am a poet myself. But where is it? Yeah, this is the feeling of oppression by your own people for simply existing as a Filipino, and that's our identity. The Divisoria. It's very much telling of our culture as Filipinos. That hustle, that no choice to just do whatever you need to do, and yet you're outcasted for living, essentially. And the worst part there is the last line is there seems to be this animosity we have against each other simply because of the differing ranks. So thank you for listening to my video explainer of my translation portfolio in Edwin '09. Thank you. Holy shit, don't tell me. Oh, thank you.